Hello, and welcome to Back Through the Lens, where two film school friends talk about movies through the haze of nostalgia. The good, the bad, and the ones that aren't quite how we remember them. I'm your host, Rachel, and with me is my co-host, Joe. Today's movie is Teen Wolf.
The summer of 1985 is coming to an end and fall is just around the corner. In America, the song The Power of Love by Huey Lewis and the News is at the top of the singles charts, while the movie European Vacation is at the top of the box office. On television, people are watching popular shows such as Sherlock Holmes, The Cosby Show, and Who's the Boss. Kids and teenagers are watching TV shows such as Fraggle Rock, Alvin and the Chipmunks, The Charlie Brown and Snoopy Show, and Voltron. Children are playing with Fisher-Price cassette players. In this season, we celebrate films that turned 40 in 2025, the same year we also hit that milestone.
So did you get a chance to watch the trailer for this?
I almost forgot to, and then I decided, oh wait, let me see if there's a trailer. Oh, there is. And I actually have a note that it looks very dated, like just the footage, the quality. And then at the very end, it said something along the lines of a new comedy starring Michael J. Fox from Back to the Future, or something like that. Like, yeah, they were leaning into that Back to the Future, though.
Yeah, and we'll mention that too as we talk about the rollout for Teen Wolf, but they definitely were. I watched the trailer too, and it basically shows you the entire movie.
Yeah. I saw the trailers like, yeah, I remember this movie. Yeah. And I think I know I watched this movie, and we'll talk about it. Obviously, it's what we're here to do. But for a second, I'm like, maybe I only watched the trailer as a kid. Because it's the three scenes I remember. The changing in the bathroom, the urban surfing, and basketball.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was trying to look into past werewolf movies just a little bit because I was thinking about what other werewolf movies have I seen? Do I have a favorite werewolf movie? It's spoiler alert, it's not this one. But
Well, roll credits.
The only werewolf movie I really remember is American Werewolf in London.
Yeah.
That's it.
I know there are other ones, and I've seen other ones, but that's the only one that sticks with me. I could be wrong, but I mean, that's the first one that comes to my head. There were other teenage ones mentioned in a few articles. You have two here, but there are some that I noticed came out after the fact. But yeah, American Werewolf in London, I think, especially if you like horror, kind of rings true. There was a sequel, or maybe it was called a reboot, but that term didn't exist yet. But American Werewolf in Paris.
Yeah.
I remember seeing that, and it was like, meh, it's okay. And then like the Underworld movies, but that's like mostly focused on vampires, but also have werewolves.
Yeah, honestly, the first thing that came to my mind was the Hotel Transylvania movies because there's a werewolf family. And my son and I really like those movies, though we think they're really funny. Obviously, not focused on the werewolf, but there's a joke in, I want to say it's a third movie. They're all going on a cruise together, and the werewolf family has 1,000,000 kids, like 100 kids or something. And the parents are so excited to get a break because they can put them in the kids area, and they're just obviously feral and terrorizing everyone in the daycare area of the cruise ship.
Nice.
But yeah. But you know what else I also thought of, though? Twilight.
Ah, yes, yeah.
I don't have good examples, obviously, but when the first Twilight movie came out, I was an intern at a company that did like preview screenings, early screenings, and I had to work the Twilight screening, which was just horrible because of the crowd control involved. And I had to tell everyone they couldn't bring their cell phones in. It was such a big deal. Like, you had to put the cell phones in the little security bag things and leave them with the security guard. It was a big deal when Twilight came out. And then I was working as an assistant manager at a movie theater when I believe the third one came out. And we had to do a midnight showing and all that.
And I know there are werewolves in Twilight, and like I mentioned before, Underworld. but I feel like it's more focused on the vampire aspect of it, and these are just like
Right.
other characters. I don't know. I remember when Twilight came out. I didn't read the books, and up until like maybe a year ago, I hadn't even seen a movie of them because it's not really something marketed towards me.
Right.
But I remember everyone in school being like, Team Jacob or Team Edward, and I just like, which one's the werewolf? I picked that guy just because vampires get too much credit.
It's funny because Robert Pattinson, when he was promoting his latest movie,
Drama?
the drama, yeah, he said that no one was actually Team Jacob. That was just marketing.
Mm.
Jacob being the werewolf, by the way.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I was Team Jacob. On principle.
On principle.
Poor werewolves.
Okay, well, our two teenage werewolf movies that I found. 1957, I Was a Teenage Werewolf. Michael Landon is the teen wolf in question here.
Michael Landon.
Like Little House on the Prairie.
Okay.
Yeah. Went on to have a big TV career. Okay, so apparently he has an anger problem. And this comes to a head because someone sneaks up behind him and he punches the person that does this. So they're like, no, you really need to go to anger management, which, I don't know, sounds like a little fair.
Fair he has to go to management, or fair he
No,
punched someone
fair
for
that,
sneaking?
like, if I got so scared, possibly enough to punch someone if I was being snuck up
Yeah.
on. So he goes to see a psychologist who insists that all his anger problems could be fixed if he returns to his primal animal state. You know, humans coming from animals, whatever. Injects him with a serum that turns him into a werewolf, which does not help his anger management, obviously. He ends up killing a few teenagers and then also ends up killing the doctor in the end, kind of by accident, because the doctor wants to try to get his werewolf transformation on film instead of like fixing him. And trying to get it on film, there's a flash or some sort of noise that triggers him to transform. And because he transforms right there and the doctor's right in front of him, he kills the doctor and also ruins the footage. So there's no proof that this ever happened or whatever.
So the doctor turns him into a werewolf, though. He's not bitten by a wolf. He's not
Right.
born that way. He is a science experiment gone wrong. Okay.
Correct. 1981, which is a lot closer to the movie we're here to talk about. Full Moon High. A teen gets attacked by a werewolf while on a trip to Transylvania with his dad. His dad is played by Ed McMahon. I know.
Like from Johnny Carson's show? The
Yeah.
Ed McMahon, the guy that gave out big checks in the 90s?
Yep.
Okay.
Apparently, you're supposed to think that his dad is a sleazy businessman because he is occupied by prostitutes while his son is getting bitten by a werewolf on this trip to Transylvania.
I was going to think he was a sleazy businessman because he's played by Ed McMahon. I could just picture him walking around Transylvania with big checks like, you won the sweepstakes.
It's more of a dark comedy, like a comedic horror from what I saw. Basically, this guy disappears for a couple decades because he's a werewolf. He doesn't know how to handle himself, right? He comes back to town later and enrolls in high school because he stopped aging when he got turned into a werewolf, much like a vampire, I guess. There are 3 women who are interested in him, which apparently is a big plot point. A fellow student, his old girlfriend, who's now a wife and mother, and one of the teachers.
Okay.
Yep.
I feel like the student makes sense. A teacher, we've talked about the age gaps in different episodes. Sure, fine, but okay. The ex-girlfriend, after he disappears for, you said, decades, and she is married with
I thought
kids.
it was 20 years, yeah.
Is she questioning why he still looks like he's in high school?
Yeah, you would think so, right? So, I don't know. Maybe we'll have to check this out sometime.
Well,
Yeah, you're like, no, I only have so much time in my life. So his big deal in this movie is to escape the cops long enough to play football in the homecoming game for the high school.
okay.
After the homecoming game, he is shot by a silver bullet, but he survives because due to inflation, it now takes more than one silver bullet to kill a werewolf.
What? Wait a minute. That's not how I thought you were going to finish that sentence.
Yeah, I know.
I heard due to inflation. I was like, okay, so it's silver. It's not as much silver, or it's like silver plated. It's not like how a penny is just copper fake plated, not even.
No, just
But no,
you gotta go with it.
it costs. So the bullet doesn't cost more, and there's not less silver. It just takes more silver bullets to kill the werewolf because of the economy.
Yeah, the value of silver is different.
Okay.
Yep. The tagline for this one was something about he's a werewolf, but the rules have changed. And so I guess this is the rule that changed.
I don't think that's how things work, but okay.
I just always think it's funny, regardless of this weird economic aspect of this one. It's always funny to me how the lore changes or like the rules can be different every time you're making a movie about a particular creature like this.
I don't mind it so much as long as it lives within the realm of the film. If the tagline is the rules have changed, I feel like you've already had a hard time convincing your audience before you've even played the credits.
Yeah.
I've seen so many different vampire movies, and the old school ones with the crucifix and the garlic and all that stuff. Not everything we see in modern vampire movies. Like, I think a lot of people got rid of the garlic thing because, I don't know, people are afraid of garlic anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. It's, you establish the rules within the movie, but you can't have the tagline like, this is so different, you won't know what's coming.
Well, what was funny to me is describing both of these movies, really none of these werewolf tropes are in Teen Wolf.
Yeah, no, he doesn't get bit. He doesn't get killed. Silver bullets or economically priced regular bullets.
Yep. In the first movie, the I Was a Teenage Werewolf, he's triggered to transform based on loud noises, it seems. Like the school bell will make him transform.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of see a little bit that in Teen Wolf. He can't control it yet, which is something most of the time in werewolf movies, it's just the full moon situation.
I just thought about when we were doing the Lady Hawk episode and the studio tried to say part of it was based on a werewolf legend. Which, I mean, it's true. He turns into a wolf at night, but
Yeah.
just very funny to think about these being in the same lore. All right. Well, let's officially get into our movie, the one that we are actually here to discuss. Teen Wolf, directed by Rod Daniel, released August 23rd, 1985, rated PG.
Scott Howard is an average student on a below-average high school basketball team and barely has an average skill set on the court. Scott wishes that he was more special and not so average, but he wasn't ready for what was about to happen to him. Mood swings, voice cracking, hair in strange places, barking at the moon, you know, normal teen things. After Scott wolfs out at a game, he becomes popular as Teen Wolf, and his confidence is rising. While trying to get the attention from a crush, Pamela, he is missing very obvious cues from his childhood friend, Boof. Eventually, Scott learns that he doesn't need to be the wolf to believe in himself.
Yeah, we're going to get to the name Boof in a little bit.
God, what the fuck?
I know. I remember watching this a lot as a kid, which is confusing to me now that we have revisited it. 99% sure it was on cable because there were some scenes that definitely stood out to me on the rewatch that I'm pretty sure were cut for television. But yeah, I feel like it's everything we always talk about, a block of 80s movies that was always running on, I don't know, TNT or Comedy Central or something. And Michael J. Fox was still a big star when we were kids. So
Yeah.
I'm not surprised this played a lot.
I remember seeing this at my grandma's house. I'm pretty sure it was a rental because I don't remember commercials, which is funny because I only remember the highlights that I already mentioned. But then after that, I've seen it on cable a few times, and I swear to God, it's always just the basketball scenes.
I mean, to be fair, most of what I remembered was the basketball scenes when I was watching it back. So I could see that.
It's like we say before, there's a lot of, when you're a kid, there's a lot of the boring parts, i.e., the plot line, that kids will ignore. Like, I don't care about him having a hard time at school and dealing with just being a normal guy. I want to see him be a wolf and play basketball. I'm 5. Let me have this.
5, let me have this. Oh, you were the target audience.
Well, and as I'm sure we'll dive into, I basically just wanted to watch Michael J. Fox be a wolf play basketball, specifically.
Yeah. Okay. So our screenwriters are Jeff Loeb and Matthew Weissman. They were fresh out of film school from Columbia, moved to LA to try to be screenwriters. The Atlantic Entertainment Group was, I believe, an indie studio. That was a new name for me, and we'll get into exactly how small and obscure they were. They wanted to write a comedy that would cost almost nothing and take very little time to film. They were particularly inspired by the success of Valley Girl, which we discussed in episode 37 when we talk about Real Genius, because it was directed by Martha Coolidge, who also did Real Genius. She did Valley Girl for, I believe it was something like $350,000, and it made millions of dollars at the box office. And it was Nicolas Cage's, if not his first role, one of his very, very first roles in a feature film. So they wanted their own Valley Girl. They wanted to make a lot of money, basically.
And I get it too. It sounds funny at first, but considering they're fresh out of film school, they probably have some debt to pay. And, you know, it's a little indie thing too, which I think at the time was not really something people were known for.
Not really. What's funny, though, is that Loeb and Weissman also wrote Commando. These were their first 2 scripts. And most of what I found, this is all coming from interviews with Jeff Loeb in particular. He went on to have a really long career. He actually writes comics now. He went from movies to comics. He said Commando and Teen Wolf were the first 2 scripts he ever wrote, and they both got made into movies, and it was just a really amazing start. And I keep thinking of stories like this, stories like John Hughes saying he went out to LA and he got multiple development deals. It just, these people just showing up to LA and getting movies made.
When we were talking earlier this season about St. Elmo's Fire and just jobs falling in people's laps, this was the 80s. Like, you just go to LA and now you're a movie writer. It's great.
Yeah, that is what it sounds like, that literally jobs falling into their laps.
It's funny, too, because when doing the research for this, and I think we talked about Jeff Loeb before in a past season. I think we were talking about, the Val Kilmer episode, we were talking about Batman. And I saw his name, and I was like, this can't be the same guy, because I know him from a bunch of Batman comics, graphic novels and whatnot. I was like, oh, it is the same. He did just transition, and it's just kind of funny seeing the early starts.
Well, also speaking of John Hughes, Loeb and Weissman wrote this script in 3 weeks. Part of that was so they could secure Michael J. Fox, which we will get into.
If that's any motivation to hurry a script in 1985, then yeah, I'm here for that.
Michael J. Fox has an interesting surge in popularity too when this movie is being made, which we'll get to in a second.
Why is Michael J. Fox so popular? Why is a kid, besides Back to the Future and Teen Wolf, and I was looking at his filmography, like, literally right now, and I don't honestly get it. It jumps, and then it's like a couple movies, mid-90s. Greedy was one of them. I totally forgot about Greedy. The Frighteners, which we've mentioned before, and then Spin City, and then he's just a guest on a bunch of stuff, like Scrubs, because he's Michael J. Fox. But
yeah, by then he's Michael J. Fox, yeah.
But, like, besides Back to the Future, for me, it's like, what was it? I think that was it for me.
The answer to your question is Family Ties, which we will talk about in a second. So the studio had Michael J. Fox in mind from the very beginning. They wanted what they felt was a young, up-and-coming actor, very similar, again, to Nicolas Cage when he made Valley Girl. Family Ties the TV show that Michael J. Fox was on a filming delay due to Meredith Baxter's pregnancy. So Michael J. Fox was able to take the role in Teen Wolf. And ironically, if you listen to our episode on Back to the Future, you will remember that the big reason why the producer of Family Ties never showed the Back to the Future script to Michael J. Fox was because Meredith Baxter was still on maternity leave and he didn't want to lose another actor and delay the show further. Again, wrote the script in 3 weeks, partially so they could secure Michael J. Fox during this break in Family Ties. At the time, Family Ties was the number 17 TV show in the country, which is still not bad, obviously. Like, lots of competition, I'm sure. However, during the filming of Teen Wolf, Family Ties got moved to be airing right after The Cosby Show. So because of the lead-in from The Cosby Show, it shot up to the number 2 TV show in the country.
Yeah, there's been a handful of episode intros this season, or I think I've name-dropped The Cosby Show, so that makes sense. I actually was just thinking, ironically enough, we have not brought up Family Ties as far as what's been popular in the intro. We've only talked about it because of Michael J. Fox.
Loeb and Wiseman, the screenwriting team, were allowed to pick the director, which is kind of insane because, again, remember, they are fresh out of film school. They only have 2 full scripts under their belt at this point, but they both are getting made into movies, and now they get to pick the director.
They did have a vision for something very cheap, so they're like, all right, kids, pick whoever you want, just as long as it's affordable.
Yeah, I guess that's fair. Loeb said they were also seen as de facto producers because they were the ones who knew the material so well, which, if this is a really small studio, I can kind of see them being like, do all the jobs because, you know, maybe they can't hire out so many people. But also, this is not the most intricate material that they would need to keep it on the inside. Like,
you guys know very well about teenagers turning into wolves. Only you could protect Forest. No, only you could make this movie. I don't know. It just sounds like they're just so small that they have to wear every hat.
Yeah, basically. I thought this was a fun quote about hiring Rod Daniel as the director. This is from Loeb. They were having meetings with a bunch of different directors. Everyone came in. I remember this so distinctly, and they were saying, the werewolf is a metaphor, and it has to be dark, and should we consider making it more violent? Then Rod Daniel, who had not directed a feature before, came in, and he really summed it up. He said, this isn't a movie about being a werewolf. It's a movie about a boy and his relationship with his father. And at that point, we were done. We probably talked for an hour, but he said that in the first 5 minutes, and we knew he was the guy.
Okay. I mean, he does have a father, and they have a relationship. I can see it a little bit, but I wouldn't say that's what the movie is about.
Well, according to that is what it's about. His father, who's like barely in this movie. There was also a separate quote I read from Loeb that said they came up with the idea for the screenplay because they just thought, what if a guy in high school wasn't great at basketball, but then he became a werewolf, which allowed him to be really good at basketball.
That's what the movie's about.
It is, but they weren't even I think it's so funny, they weren't even setting out to write a werewolf movie. They were almost more so setting out to write a basketball movie.
Yeah, this is clearly the inspiration behind Air Bud. Let's...
What's your favorite werewolf movie? It's
Air Bud. What's your favorite canine basketball movie? Air Bud 3.
Canine basketball movie.
What a subgenre.
Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. How funny that actually you could come up with a subgenre that includes both Teen Wolf and Air Bud.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, you're here because you're making connections I could have never fathomed.
Nobody should.
Okay, so not too much about pre-production. They made this movie in a month. It was really a cheap, quick production. Apparently, headlined by Loeb and Wiseman. I really could not find any quotes from our director here. It seems like screenwriters were kind of in charge almost.
Has he done anything else? This Dan guy, his name is unfamiliar to me. Oh, it's not Dan, it's Rob Daniel. Okay, I messed that up already.
He did a lot of for hire movies throughout his career. His last movie was Home Alone 4, which we discuss in our Home Alone episode.
I want to say that's why his name sounds familiar, but I'd be lying.
No, that's not why. Okay, so this is probably, aside from Pee-wee, like the plainest opening sequence we've had this season. It's really just names on a screen and some sound effects.
Yeah, it's pretty plain. Yeah. Mm-hmm. For what it is plain, it is not over the top crazy. Again, no David Bowie Shatter. So nothing will beat that. That's going to be like the benchmark for how bad an opening can or can't be.
Yeah. Sorry, Breakfast Club.
There's something about the title I liked. The font, I don't know, it's very fun, very 80s, but it works for me. And then the rest of like the names are just plain text.
Yeah. But as we go through all the names, we get this growing sound effect of heavy breathing, heavy footsteps, and very much assuming this is a werewolf we're hearing, because we just saw it was called Teen Wolf. But then we get this fake out where it's actually Michael J. Fox in human form on the basketball court, kind of trying to psych himself up to make is it a three-pointer? I don't know basketball.
3-point shot. At the line when you get fouled. Foul shot.
Okay, fine.
The sound effects is there to trick us, like you said, but then the first thing we see is the camera is basically looking up from the floor to the ceiling at a halogen light, but the way it comes into focus from black, it looks like a full moon, which I thought was really cool too. And then as it brightens up and you see the gymnasium ceiling, Michael J. Fox is literally hovering over the camera, as you said, in human form. So I think all of that was a cool fake out.
Also, I felt like all the athletes throughout the movie are just insanely sweaty.
Okay, yes, I was thinking that too. Especially Michael J. Fox. It's like, man, he's really going for it in the court. He's just drenched.
And I understand when you are exerting yourself, you're going to sweat, right? But these people look like they got hit with a hose or something.
Yeah.
It's so much sweat on their faces.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay. I'm kind of glad you thought this too. I felt silly bringing it up, but it was just, that's what I kept noticing.
I feel like it made it feel real, like the actors were actually playing and not just hitting their marks. But then at some point, I was like, this is too real? It's now looks unreal. It's like, you're so sweaty. I'm like, I believe you were playing. Now it just looks like you got dumped with a bucket of water.
Yeah. It was the specific drops all over their faces that really was pulling me out of it, because it was very well placed.
Yes, yeah. So I want to make sure I'm clear here, even though I think I know the answer. This was filmed after Back to the Future? Because he was still Family Ties. It was not.
It was before Back to the Future.
Okay.
Because Meredith Baxter was on her leave and they were on a break from filming Family Ties. That's why he could take this. But if you remember with Back to the Future, they were like, if you take this movie, you have to still do Family Ties because we can't lose any more momentum with Meredith Baxter still being on maternity leave and the show starting back up.
See, that's what my gut thought. I think I overthought the Back to the Future episode because they made such a big deal about him being... that was his first feature, but just because it came out first, I guess.
Yeah, I think... You know what? That is true. They did make a big deal about it being... Maybe it was because it was his first big feature. There's a huge difference between this production and Back to the Future.
You don't say. Oh, God, yeah.
Just the names involved. Maybe everyone thought it was his first feature, and that's what kept coming up.
He's in something called Poison Ivy in 1985 before Back to the Future, not rated.
Sounds promising.
It's hard to tell because he looks younger somehow. I mean, this comes out in the same year, but
He does. Yeah. I thought he looked younger too, and I was like, that doesn't really make sense to me based on the time, but whatever.
right. And I know certain movies, like, I don't care, they come out in different order. It depends on when they were shot. It just would make sense that because this was so low budget, there would be no reason why this would take so much longer in post than Back to the Future, they were literally editing it as they were shooting it, so it's confusing there too.
No.
That
They waited to release this because they knew Back to the Future was coming out. We'll get into it.
Okay, that's what's effing up my timeline is the quickness of Back to the Future, the whole TV show and the pregnancy of the other lady, and Michael J. Fox is working on like 5 different sets at once, being carried away by his driver.
Yeah. Yeah. Forgot about that.
I think
we'll get
partly
into it.
too is that he looks significantly younger for some reason, but it also could be the quality of the film.
I was just going to say that too. It could be that because I noticed even with the opening credits, you can just see there's a difference in quality. It's not as crisp.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's giving him even more of a baby face. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, all right. We've talked about his age and how much he sweats.
Yeah.
Doing well. So, this fake out when we find out it's just regular human Scott on the basketball court. I thought it was so funny immediately that Michael J. Fox, famously short, is a basketball player. And I was thinking of our Back to the Future episode where they had to recast the love interest because the actress was taller than Michael J. Fox.
Yeah. But he runs around the court like a Muggsy Bogues. If you remember Space Jam, the little monster, that'd be
Okay.
Muggsy Bogues. And
Okay.
that's what Michael J. Fox reminds me of. Just the little guy just running around everywhere, all over the court. That's why he's so goddamn sweaty. He's literally offense, defense, he's all over the place.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. These names mean nothing to me, but I'm just going to go with you on this.
Sorry.
It's okay. I'm sure someone out there understands what you're saying. It's just not me. I did think this was funny, though, because as soon as I'm thinking about him being short, he gets clobbered by another player. And then the coach, they're getting beaten so badly, the coach is like, if we quit now, we can beat the 5 o'clock traffic.
Yeah, he's trying to convince the other coach he's like, you can't forfeit. And the opposite coach says something about, my guys are trying to rack up their stats for, I don't know, probably college or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't know what was more jarring for me as someone on the basketball team, short little Michael J. Fox or Francis.
Yeah. Yeah, because I clocked that Stillwell, a.k.a. Francis, is on the basketball team, which is... Wasn't expecting to see him in 2 movies in a row.
Right. That's crazy.
Yeah. And they call him Chubbs.
Yeah, he's a little chunky guy. I don't even know if they call him by his real name. But yeah, it's just Chubbs. Mm-hmm. Or Chubb, maybe. Singular. I hear both, I think.
Singular Chubb.
Yeah, one Chubb.
I do like this, though. Like, this whole season's been so fun for me because you can see... Like, what a busy year some people had. Like, the connections stick out so much more.
Yeah.
I do think the coach is possibly my favorite part of the movie, though. Like, he's legitimately very funny.
Yeah, the coach is pretty funny, and he's not in a lot of scenes. He's just... His lack of awareness is funny, or I don't even know what to call it.
He has no tact. He just says whatever comes to mind, but his lines are really funny.
Yeah.
That being said, Scott goes to talk to him in his office after the game, and he's talking about how he's having problems, and we know as a viewer he's alluding to feeling off and things changing, which we know are signs that werewolf type things are happening to him. The coach starts talking about some player they had that had what he calls real problems. His mother was a widow, all crippled up. And he says, these were poor people. These were hungry people with real problems. And then Scott's like, oh, okay, well, what happened to them? What did you do to help them? And he's like, oh, nothing. I have no idea what happened to him. He was just a third stringer.
The third stringer was allowed to quit the team to feed his family while they need Michael J. Fox, who is a star player on a really bad team.
Yeah.
I like when he comes in the office and the dude's like dry shaving with electric razor. He's like, "Hey Scott, you want a wing, a thigh, a breast?" He's got like a mound of KFC. That was so random.
It is. We cut to a scene where we see Scott leaving school, and this is how we're introduced to his best friend Boof, which I thought Boof was his girlfriend for a second. And I was like, okay, good. I will not mess this name up, like our Jennifer Jessica situation with Back to the Future, because whose name is Boof? But never mind, she's not his girlfriend. But we never find out why she's called Boof either.
We don't, but I don't know if I need that, I guess. At first it was like, are they saying Boof? But yeah, okay, and we're rolling with it. It's very obvious why they call Chubbs Chubbs. Don't want to be mean, but I get it.
Right, yeah.
Boof? Man, I don't even want to guess.
Okay, so number one, I thought it was kind of distracting because you have this really odd name.
Yeah.
But then two, I feel like that's the name you give like someone who's more of a silly character somehow, or it's not like the love interest's name.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe like a Pomeranian.
Sure. But this scene when they're walking out of the school, apparently all the extras, particularly if they were girls, would start screaming when Michael J. Fox walked out of the school because he had risen in popularity so much as an actor because of Family Ties becoming more popular. Loeb literally said it was like the Beatles were coming out of the school. The girls would all scream and try to get closer to him, and they had to tell them all to calm down until the take was over, and then they could maybe go talk to Michael J. Fox.
That's crazy.
I remember this scene when he's at his dad's hardware store and he hears the dog whistle. I specifically remember that as a kid and being like, oh, he's a werewolf because he can hear a dog whistle.
I do remember this one as well, just because the intensity of it, and he looks like he was gonna eat. He looked like he was gonna eat the kid, even when he wasn't in a werewolf form. Like he just looked very angry and feral, and the kid's like, "This is broken." So the kid didn't even know he was playing with a dog whistle.
That's true. Yeah. Oh yeah. We cut to. I assume this is supposed to be Scott delivering a bunch of stuff from the hardware store to the drama club at school because he's carrying a bunch of stuff through school. He's stopped by Mr. Thorne, who I think we find out later is the assistant principal.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. But Thorne hates him for seemingly no reason, so we just have another asshole principal.
Yeah, it seems to be a trend.
Mm-hmm.
Michael J. Fox is very good at using his smallness, I think, for very light physical comedy, because he's got all this stuff from the hardware store, and the way he's carrying it, no person would carry it this way. It's like things are constantly dropping. There's a bit with a roll of tape that keeps happening that I thought was clever and funny. And yeah, he's a little guy, so he's playing up on all this. He's got this big, like, drop cloth and buckets of paint, and I feel like there's a much easier way to carry it, even for someone his size. I don't know, it works well for me.
Yeah. I did think this was funny when he finally walks into the drama practice. This drama teacher is so serious about it. He's acting like we're the Royal Shakespeare Company. I think, as someone who did drama club in high school, it is hilarious to me that a public school would be able to hire some like extra person with, I don't know, a very serious drama teacher, because I'm pretty sure for a while it was just our English teacher who did drama club.
Yeah, I assumed it was just the English teacher. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just thought he was really into this part of his job.
Okay, that's fair.
For some reason, every time we see drama club, it's just Pamela going over her lines. I don't know. Whatever. I guess we don't need any extras. We don't have a budget.
Yeah, that's a good point. They don't.
But this first time, she's giving her lines, and the guy's like way in the empty auditorium, and he says something like, "More sensual, darling. We need to feel you. We want to smell you. Hurt me, hurt me." What the fuck?
Yeah.
We want to smell you.
Yep. this is where we find out that Scott has a crush on this girl, Pamela, wants to take her to the spring dance, but then we see her leave with her boyfriend. And I was like, how does he not realize she already has a boyfriend?
I thought that at first too, but later there's a line where they're driving in the van on a beer run, and their other friend who's in the movie for 2 seconds is like, "Oh, she's dating this guy," and Michael J. Fox says, "No, they're not." So like, I feel like Pamela is just playing the field, and I
Maybe.
think no one's going steady with her, so to speak, but she's dating the very popular, very much more athletic guy from the other team we saw them play at the
Mm-hmm.
very beginning, which, in your defense, later on in your notes, they don't do this very well.
I thought this guy went to their school, which was another reason why I was like, how does he not know they're dating?
Yeah, so at the very beginning, the big guy that little Michael J. Fox gets plowed down on the court from is this guy. Like this, they show the feud right away, and I only recognize it because like the way he like just stares down Michael J. Fox, or I should be saying Scott.
Mm.
Doesn't matter. Marty, who cares? But they're wearing the red, and the Beavers wear the yellow, and
Yeah.
that's the only connection I made. But he is in this movie so much with Pamela, going to their dances. He shows up at their auditorium, and so it does get a little confusing. Where I kept thinking he was going to this school, but then I remember, oh no, he's. We see him again later play the championship game, and he's on the other team. I'm like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
he's the bad guy from the other town. He's just in this town so much.
He's in this town so much because of Pamela, I guess.
Fucking Pamela.
I didn't realize until the last basketball game that he was the guy on the other team. And I was like, wait, why is he on another team? So obviously, this was a detail I did not pick up on. We also find out later, I think from Styles, that Mick is in his 20s because he went to juvie or something.
I did not pick up on that.
Yeah,
Styles talks pretty fast though,
that's true.
and he says a lot of ridiculous things. So it's hard to catch all of it.
Oh.
Yeah, speaking of Styles, to your point earlier, for like zany sidekick, this is a Boof character.
Yes.
Goofy name, Boof. I don't see that. I need even less explanation. Like this guy, he's a Boof. It sounds like Goof. It makes sense to me.
Yeah.
This poor actress, this Boof, this God, she kind of reminded me of like a little bit like a Phoebe Cates situation, or
Yeah.
it's just the dark features, dark hair, very sweet.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But Styles is constantly trying to buy beer from their small town liquor shop.
Yeah, he's trying to impress, I want to say, Mick or some other popular big guy at this party he's invited
Oh,
to.
right. Mm-hmm. This is when he starts saying never say die a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure the Goonies didn't invent that. But when you talk
I
about the
know.
Goonies and then you see this, you're like, that's funny.
Yeah, all I could think of was the Goonies. But I don't know what scene this is, but I have a note that says Styles says the shop teacher got his dick caught in a vacuum cleaner. This movie is rated PG.
This is when Styles comes to pick up Scott to go try to get beer again, slash
Yeah.
go to the party. And I forget why he says this story. I think Michael J. Fox is in the mirror. He keeps asking, like, is there a rash going around? He's, like, checking himself out. And he tells him the story about the shop teacher. It's just a Styles line. I don't know.
It's just a Styles line.
I will say I thoroughly enjoyed. He was anytime Styles is on screen, I am drawn to him. He is very funny in a kind of annoying way sometimes, but he does it really well.
I could see that. He was comic relief isn't the right term. That's what I was about to say. He keeps things moving along, which is necessary considering by the time I finished this movie, I was like, I don't feel like a lot really happened. So,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah. Styles convinces Scott to go in and try to buy the beer. I
Sort
don't
of.
remember, sort of. Well, because to your note, they want Scott to rob the store, which was, I thought was funny. Because they're like, take this gun, or just like put this toy gun under your coat and he'll think it's real. It'll be fine. And Scott's like, no.
Well, and the funny thing is, too, they want him to fake a robbery, but then they're like, well, just give him the money so they can't say that you robbed him.
Oh, yeah, give him the money after, once he agrees to give you the keg, yeah.
Yeah, which is, I mean, not the worst idea, I guess. I mean, not the robbing part, but like them giving them the money. Like, I'm actually paying for this buy.
Yeah, but he does go in there just to try to buy the beer without pretending to rob the store. I noticed that when he's in line, the woman in front of him is buying RC Cola. I don't know if I've mentioned this before. I got called RC Cola a lot in school because RC are my initials.
Yeah, that's very clever. I just think of RC Cola. I think of like, that's like a grandma drink.
Yeah. This is, I feel like, when we really start to see the werewolf stuff happening because Scott gets angry. Well, maybe angry isn't even the right word. He's nervous about trying to buy the beer, and his eyes end up glowing red when he tells the clerk to give him a keg. But we see this throughout the movie where if he's not even angry, it's like if he's stressed, he'll turn into the wolf.
Yeah, because he can't control it yet. He just
Yeah.
things are triggering, like Teenage Werewolf, the bell or something, right? It's he just gets alarmed and turns into a wolf, I guess.
But yeah, so this old man working at the liquor store is scared enough to give him a keg. Stiles is obviously very excited. We should mention those eyes turning red. That is a pretty dated looking effect.
Yes, yes. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not good. I don't know how else to describe it. It sounds very generic saying that out loud, but it works for the movie. It just in general just looks like, yeah, very 1985, low budget.
Yeah, I kept thinking once I realized how low the budget was and that was kind of the whole point, low budget, big return, that they would choose to move along with a script that required special effects.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that too. I don't want to get too ahead, but the whole changing in the bathroom scene, some of it looked fine, some of it looked really weird.
Yeah.
But then they only do that once. Then we're like, okay, that's all we can do. Now he's just either Scott or he's Wolf. There's no
Right.
transition anymore.
Yeah, they
Which is-
couldn't afford another one.
I mean, I get it too. You see that in other werewolf movies. You don't need to see him turn every time. You see the first times, it's usually very painful, or they don't know what's happening. It takes a lot of screen time, and we don't need to see it every time. We're like, oh, we know he's going to change. Cut to him being changed. We don't need it every time because that's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah. This is also where we get Styles surfing on the car, which Loeb really did this in college, apparently. That's where they got the idea from. He called it urban surfing. He said they would go out at like 2 a.m. when they knew the streets would be pretty empty and do this.
Yeah, you just illegally bought a keg of beer. You're driving around in your convertible, which looks like, already drawing. If I was a police officer, that would draw my attention. Some young kid driving around in this convertible, loud music. And you're like, hey, you know what's a really good idea to really draw attention to this illegal keg of beer that we bought? Let me jump on the top of this van while my other friend, who I can't remember his name, he drives my car illegally because he doesn't have a license or even temps yet, and he can drive the keg of beer in my convertible.
Yep.
Yeah, this is I feel like I get it. They're very brass, and they live in a small town. I think it's Nebraska. I only had to look that up. I assumed somewhere in California, but
It's supposed to be Nebraska. It is so obviously California.
okay. I'm glad it's not just
Yeah.
me.
Yep.
Needless to say, this is a very bad idea, but they don't get pulled over, so good for them.
Somehow they don't get pulled over, yeah.
And they get to this party. They pull up in the front yard, and you know what? You noted my kitchen television, and you raised me a dining room TV for Back to the Future. Well, I'm going to call that and raise you a front yard television.
Yeah. That was the first thing I noticed in this scene. I don't feel like we usually see a lot of the kids outside to begin with in house party scenes anyway. But then I was like, wait, there's a TV out here.
I kept drawing my attention because it's just like on TV static, and it's in
Yeah.
a night scene, so it's the brightest thing in the center of the yard. And now I was thinking, is the ring going to happen?
So we get into them playing these party games. I don't know what else to call them, but 7 minutes in heaven, basically. However, there's some couple like writhing on the floor in their underwear covered in whipped cream
Yeah.
that is supposed to be some other type of game challenge, whatever you want to call it. Loeb said that, I can't remember if it was him or our director, felt they had to put in a few raunchy jokes because that's what was popular at the time.
Mm.
They did not say Porky's, but we know the specter of Porky's was hanging over these decisions.
Yeah. So what was confusing is they go to this party. They did get the keg of beer, and it goes unnoticed because he adds it to the pile of other ones, and the guy who got it for is like, if you don't finish it, you can bring it home. So, like, weemp womp, Styles.
No one cares, yeah.
He came through, but yeah, no one cares. And what was confusing is all of a sudden, like, Styles is the ringmaster of this party. It's not his party, but this whole scene, it felt like this was his show.
Oh, yeah, because he's the one picking
Doing
names
all the
out of the
things.
hat.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what it is they all have different names. Girls have guys' names and vice versa. Or I think the girls have guys' names, and in the big, quite literal ringmaster top hat, all the guys' names are in there. So we pull a guy's name, and it's like Chubbs. Who has Chubbs? Some girl has Chubbs, and he has to eat Jello from her boobs, apparently, or something like that. They pour it down her shirt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was the other one.
Yeah. So it's a weird, like, party games, but teenage 80s Porky's party games.
Mm-hmm.
The first one we do see is this anonymous pair-up of them handcuffed or something, but they're on the floor, their hands are behind their back, and like you said, they're like writhing around trying to get free. I only wanted to bring that up because the scene goes on, and eventually Boof, who has Mitch's name, and Pamela, who has Scott's name, and she clearly is annoyed she has Scott's name. Boof gets called first. She lies and says she has Scott because she obviously likes Scott.
Right? Yeah.
And they do 2 minutes in heaven and all this stuff in the closet.
Mm-hmm.
We get a quick cut, like, much later on. Because everyone keeps, like, moving funny on the floor, and I'm assuming they're trying not to slip on the whipped cream. Styles, I forget the actor's name, but he does a really good job playing that up. Like, I'm believing him the whole time. I am very entertained by Styles.
Mm-hmm.
Right before they open the closet door, so it's been a long scene and sequence. It's a quick cut of just the couple still on the floor writhing, like, oh, I forgot they were there. No one's helped them up. I laughed so hard at that because I did not expect them to still be there, for them to do a cutaway of this couple.
No, I agree. That was funny. So, like we said, Scott and Boof go in the closet together for however many minutes and heaven. You know?
Fucking Boof.
It's like, it sounds like your dumb guy. Like, Chubbs could be named Boof. Like, this is
anybody but the love interest. This poor sweet girl.
Yeah. But anyway, this was awkward because Boof is obviously forcing this to happen. Scott's not into it. And he also is feeling weird and doesn't understand what's going on because of the werewolf of it all. But I remember this bit where she says he's getting a little too aggressive, and when she leaves the closet, her shirt is all ripped down the back.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that specifically. So obviously this scene was not cut for TV. Maybe the people with the whipped cream were cut because I didn't remember them.
But yeah, Boof, she clearly has feelings for Scott. Scott has feelings for Pamela. Pamela has feelings for Mitch. Mitch has feelings for Scott. I mean, he wants to beat him up. But he's always, like, fucking eyeballing Scott. He's not even a wolf yet. He hasn't even drawn attention to Pamela.
Yeah,
I
he's
think
not
he just,
even a threat in any way at this point.
I think Mitch knows that Scott likes Pamela, and he's just like, back off, man.
Yeah, sure. I guess the next scene is when he turns into a werewolf for the first time.
Yeah, he leaves the party being embarrassed. It looks like he is feeling sick. Like maybe he drank too much. But we know he's about to wolf out, as it's put in the script.
Yep. So yeah, we've mentioned already the effects are not great when we see him changing. This is when we really see close up of his face changing. when it's all over and he is the wolf, he just says, "Geez Louise." And I, first of all, feel like such an understatement. I mean, I understand it's a PG movie, but such an understatement. And also, the way he delivers that line is so awkward.
Yeah, his voice was weird. I don't know if it was his voice, it was someone else's voice. It just doesn't. I think he was trying to do a lower register, like when he was in the beer
Yeah.
store, but that was clearly an effect.
Yeah.
And this is just, yeah. But geez Louise, really? We're talking about a dick getting in a vacuum cleaner. We see half naked people.
Yeah.
We can't get like a hot damn or something? Like,
Yeah. Although
geez Louise.
I did love this bit with his dad, where his dad is talking to him on the other side of the door, being like, "What are you doing in there?" Blah, blah, blah. And then finally says, "Well, I think there are some things we have to talk about," something like that. Scott opens the door to find his dad as a werewolf, but I don't know what he looks like. It's not a werewolf.
Oh, God. Yeah, he looks like an Ewok.
He's so like cute and fluffy and totally suburban dad werewolf.
Yeah.
Apparently online people call him a Care Bear.
Okay.
I don't know, but I will post a picture of it. It's just it's the funniest part in the whole movie to me, this reveal of his dad.
And this was in the trailer.
Oh yeah, it is. It is.
So, like, that surprise was gone.
Yeah, true.
Michael J. Fox, aka Scott, like, he's very scraggly. He's got long facial hair, and regular hair grows out. He's got the fingernails, bags under his eyes. They even do like a little doggy nose. After the transformation, I feel like he looks pretty decent. Not when he's playing basketball and it's clearly just like hair put on a stunt double. but but as the wolf, when he's acting, I think it looks pretty good for what they have to work with. And then the dad just, he's got his like dad suburban belly. He's got fluffy white hair. It doesn't even look like the same actor because the way they have it, it just looks like a bunch of cotton balls stapled to his face.
Well, I think what part of it too is that the dad's hair is so much neater and it's all just uniformly around his face. Where
Yeah.
Scott's like hair all over, it's
He's shaggy.
long, it's straight. Yes, he's shaggy. Also, Scott, this bothered me as we went throughout the movie. He has these tufts of hair on either side of his cheeks that are kind of right below either eye, and that was bothering me. And I don't know what it is. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, it was just like some guys have beards that go up a little higher. I don't
I
know.
guess. It just seemed really high.
It did. I think they're just trying to cover as much of his baby Michael J. Fox face as possible.
Okay, that's fair.
Then his
But-
lips are like extra pink though. I don't know if it's the contrast with the fake hair or they like gave him some like lip balm or something. I don't know.
Maybe.
And the first
I didn't
scene when
notice
he's in
that.
the mirror, when he says "Geez Louise," besides that line, I'm like, why is his lips so fucking pink? It's weird.
I'll have to go back and look at this. I did read, by the way, that the actor playing the dad had a really hard time with the makeup because it made him feel claustrophobic. Yeah, it took something like 4 hours to make him up as the wolf. And then as soon as they agreed they had the cut, he just ripped it all off. Like he couldn't handle it.
Damn.
Yeah. Which is so funny to me because as we're talking about this, it feels like he's so much less covered up than Michael J. Fox.
I get the claustrophobic by looking at him because he's more fluffy and poofy, and it's all on his cheeks and head. And I'm sure he had like tunnel vision because of that. I
okay.
can see it. Like Michael J. Fox is more covered head to toe, but the way it is, again, like cotton balls, like poofing out of his face, I can see where if it's blocking his vision, like his peripherals, maybe if you're claustrophobic, that would probably bother you.
Yeah. I just realized too, maybe part of the reason his dad is so ridiculous to me is because he's wearing glasses as a werewolf.
Yeah, they made sure he was still like very dad-like, though.
Yes. Okay, so this next scene, it's the next morning basically. Scott comes down for breakfast. He says, on top of everything else, there was a full moon last night. And his mouth, Michael J. Fox's mouth, does not sync with this line at all. Like, they obviously added it in later. But also, this is the first and only time we hear about a full moon really controlling any of this.
Yeah, that was a weird line. They did have a cutaway of a moon after the fact. Like Scott and Dad, Howard, I think, they kind of have a fight because his dad has not told him that he might be a werewolf. He was hoping it would skip a generation or whatever. So in the next morning, he's still kind of mad at his dad. And then for some reason, like, on top of everything else, there was a full moon. And yeah, it sounds like Michael J. Fox, but it's clearly not recorded on set. He did that in post. It does not sync up. Luckily enough, he's in the background while the dad's making breakfast, and it is obvious it's dubbed, but it's a little hidden, I think, because of the shot. It's just still there and annoying. So there's a back and forth, and he's trying to explain to Scott that besides the turning into a wolf, we're the same as people, and with being a wolf, we have certain heightened powers, so to speak. And then he gives a line: "With greater power comes greater responsibility." Uncle Ben, you line-stealing son of a bitch. Who knew before Spider-Man that Howard... Wait, is it Howard? What's the fuck their last name? Doesn't matter.
No, their last name's Howard, I think.
His dad has an H name, though, I thought.
Harold Howard.
Okay, God damn it. See, I was close.
That's a stupid name. It's fine.
You know what's stupid? Boof.
Yeah. You know what, though? Did you notice that Boof really likes Scott's dad? Because in the beginning, when they're walking home from school, Scott says something about it's stupid town, working at his dad's stupid hardware store, whatever. And Boof says, your dad's a wonderful person. And then later she shows up to just play basketball one-on-one with Scott's dad.
Yeah. Well, the impression is they were childhood friends, so there's clearly a relationship there. And Harold Howard, God, Jessica, Kerbo, Dale, who knows? Why do these movies have stupid names?
Dale.
How do you forget about Dale? Dale Biederman.
I still can't believe you went that whole movie not realizing that was her name.
At first I thought it was her name, and then for some reason it pivoted. I don't know. Whatever. Yeah. Fucking Kerbo. Anyway, I was getting to some sort of point where Uncle Ben from Spider-Man stole Mr. Harold Howard's fucking line here. And then we lost it.
It's okay. He also has a line where he says, with certain obvious exceptions, werewolves are just people like everyone else.
That's not incorrect, I suppose.
I guess the way they're portrayed in this movie, he's not totally wrong.
Yeah. And Scott's just still upset because I would be too. I just turned into a werewolf, and apparently my dad knew I potentially could. Like, at least warn me, hey, you might turn into a werewolf. I'm hoping you don't. Like, why would you keep that secret?
Yeah.
But Scott's going on and on about this is just another thing to add to all of his, teenage woes, which I get it. He's like, I got a bad hook shot. I'm allergic to eggs. I got a $6 haircut. I got problems. I don't need this one.
I did think that was funny.
Yeah. The $6 haircut had me laughing.
Yeah.
And then another bad dub line. He says, I'm going to school. And it just, again, didn't sync up and the tone was different. And
I didn't catch this one.
It was right before he leaves the kitchen. Boof gives me these Jordan vibes from Real Genius. I don't know why. Besides the fact that she does not speak really fast like Jordan did. I don't know, it's maybe the style of the haircut or just this, I don't know, sweet earnestness that she has.
Mm-hmm.
She seems to really care about Scott, or I thought Jordan really cared about Mitch.
I could see that.
I don't know. There's, again, just maybe because I don't know this actress from much, and I kept trying to put my finger on what does she remind me of? Is it Phoebe Cates? Is it this Jordan chick? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
1985 dark-haired actresses.
Right? We go into these series of shots of Scott trying to basically hold it together in school and not think about being a werewolf, not possibly turn into a werewolf. Stiles is wearing a t-shirt during class that I could not make out what it said. You helpfully pointed out it says, "What are you looking at, Dick Nose?"
Yep.
Apparently, the director had this specially made for Styles because he wanted the character to have ridiculous t-shirts.
He did have ridiculous t-shirts.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a much earlier scene, when he picks up Scott to go get the keg of beer, he's got this blue shirt and it just says obnoxious on it. And he
Mm-hmm.
comes in behind Harold Howard and like steals food off his plate and throws in the air and catches it or whatever. He's like eating off the guy's plate. And just
Mm-hmm.
real quick, the actor says, like, I forget what the line is exactly, but he compliments his shirt that says obnoxious.
Oh.
Obviously, he does not lose the humor in how obnoxious Styles is.
Yeah, I think the only shirt I really focused on was the Dick Nose one. I didn't
Hmm.
notice the others.
Well, besides your note, obviously, because I saw this movie after you, but the line to the shirt made me look at the shirt. I went, I get it. And then after that, I was like, keep watching his shirts because I think they're going to change and be weirder and
Mm.
funnier. It's like they had a Spencer's or something and he bought all of their stock.
Yeah, that's a really good comparison.
Hmm.
This is where the principal confronts Scott in the bathroom. Scott kind of ran away because he's sort of turning into a wolf, and well, I guess he's the vice principal technically, follows him into the bathroom. Again, I was not understanding why this guy has it in for Scott so bad.
Yeah, Scott's trying to use the facilities to, I guess, have some privacy, obviously, when you're changing to a werewolf. And comes to one bathroom and the janitor's mopping. It's wet in there, and he runs down the hall and he like comically slides on his back because he slips on some more wet floor. And he didn't use
Mm-hmm.
that bathroom, and but he goes to like this dark basement of a bathroom. No one's there, and he's trying to calm down to not change, and all of a sudden the principal's behind him. It's very creepy. It's really weird.
Yeah.
And then he said something like, "Oh, you're a little far." Or what are you doing on this side of the school? Or something weird. Like, how do you know where this guy's supposed to be? And what difference does it make? When you gotta go, you gotta go.
Yeah, I think he was trying to make a comment like he's far from whatever his scheduled class is,
Sure.
like trying to make a point like maybe he's skipping or something, which first of all, if you were skipping, why would you just like be in the school bathroom? But also there's a reason the closer bathroom was closed. So
Yes.
I don't know.
And he asked him to see his hands because one of the bathrooms he did not go into, there was some sort of kid graffitiing
Oh, right.
the
Hmm.
mirrors with a marker. So I guess he was trying to bust him on that as well.
So what confused me is that I felt like every time we've had a movie this season where the principal or vice principal, whoever, had been such a hard ass like this, we at least understood why they didn't trust that kid in particular. Like, even with Back to the Future, I didn't understand what was so bad about Marty, but the guy calls him a slacker or something, just like your dad. We don't find out about this situation until much later in the movie. And it's because he doesn't like Scott's dad.
Yeah. I think as a viewer, it's annoying,
Mm hmm.
but I think that also kind of made it work for me because I don't know, sometimes teachers really do have it out for a particular student for no reason, or there was a bad
Mm
first
hmm.
impression and that sticks with them, and that just is life, and that just happens sometimes. So it kind of works,
Mm
but
hmm.
that's stepping out of the movie. While you're watching the movie, it's like, what is with this guy following this dude in the bathroom? It's fucking annoying. I want to know what the problem is here because
Yeah.
we're supposed to know these things because we're a viewer. So it's weird.
Right. Yeah, I agree. So there's a scene after this where Scott confesses to Styles that he's a werewolf. When he starts to say, I have something to tell you, Styles says, you're not going to tell me you're gay, are you? Except he actually uses the slur, the
Hmm.
F word slur. God, this rubbed me the wrong way. Because number one, like, oh, apparently the worst thing in the world he could be would be to be gay. And then also, obviously, using that word. The writers did say, looking back, they wouldn't put it in there now, that it was unfortunate that they used it. And apparently, this scene was cut when it would air on TV.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So the word gets delivered three times, twice from Styles, once from Scott. I felt that, unless it's just really great acting, that he was just embarrassed that he still had the secret to tell. It looked like Michael J. Fox was uncomfortable saying that word. Maybe I'm being hopeful, or maybe I'm just reading it too much. The way he delivered the line was like it was pulled out of his mouth.
I don't know. I just, again, I realize it was a long time ago. Wasn't that long ago,
Yeah.
but
John Hughes didn't write this one.
oh yeah,
Can't blame him this time. It's just the language of 1985.
apparently so. This is what, our third time?
Third time, yeah.
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 Great.
Pivoting, but same scene. Very funny to me that how quickly the tone changed. Thank God. But that so under the radar and nonchalant that Styles gives him two nicknames right away. One of them being the title of the film. He just straight up calls him Teen Wolf, and then starts calling him TS in the same sentence. If there was a cheesy moment, I think I would like it better if it was like, "You're just a Teen Wolf," and it would have been cheesy and lame, but it would have worked for me because of the movie. He says it with no hesitation, no emphasis. And I'm like, okay. And then that becomes, I only bring that because that becomes his nickname in school when he's the Wolf. He's Teen Wolf or he's Scott.
Yeah.
And Styles literally makes merch for this guy. He has shirts and keychains, and
Yep,
it becomes a whole persona.
Yeah. Yeah, Styles is pretty good at marketing Scott's werewolf self.
Yeah. With friends like these. So that's getting ahead. The whole marketing thing. He just came out to Scott. Well, maybe I shouldn't use that term. After he reveals his wolfness to Styles, he comes home and he wants to talk to his dad, and that's where Boof is playing basketball with him. And she's like, "Oh, can you walk me home?" He's like, "I don't know, man. I just got home. Fucking walk yourself home." Like,
I know.
And Harold Howard is like giving Scott the eye, like,
Yeah.
Walk a lady home, Scott.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, read the room, dude.
Yep.
First of all, okay, maybe you don't have feelings for her, that's fine. But she's also like your childhood friend. Like, just, why wouldn't you walk your friend home?
Yeah.
Like, this is like your bestie from age 5 or 6 in the conversation they're about to have. Which is actually was a pretty funny story about they tried to run away from home, but they kept walking in circles because they weren't allowed to cross the street.
Yeah. That's such a little kid thing. Yeah.
Yep, I was going to say those exact same words, yeah. I thought that was kind of fun.
I liked that.
During that walk, though, I had to make a note. Is this town supposedly in Nebraska, maybe in Illinois? Because it looks like Haddonfield. Watch out for Michael J. Myers, because he's about to come out and stab somebody.
Michael J. Myers. This next scene, they're at a basketball game again. I have a note asking if the coach is eating a hard-boiled egg while he's walking. And apparently he was, because then he sits next to his assistant and asks for salt. I'm sorry, I thought you had something to add.
No, you're 100% correct. He's just chomping on a hard-boiled egg, and he's like, "Give me some salt." And the guy looks at him like, "Go get me some salt." What the fuck, dude? He just carries around hard-boiled eggs.
This guy, by the way, who I just refer to him as the coach's assistant because I'm not really sure what else he would be.
Yeah.
But he's another student, like he's younger. He looked so familiar to me, but I cannot figure out who he is because I also can't figure out who he's credited as anyway.
Oh, good point. He looks like Jesse Eisenberg mixed with Dusty from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
It's the hair.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. This is the part where Scott first turns into the wolf in front of everyone. I liked how everyone is so shocked and the coach just looks mildly confused. Like, nothing phases this guy.
No, I mean, it's an acting choice, I think, and I love it. Mm-hmm. Because I don't think Scott intended or knew he was going to turn into a wolf. It's just, it was triggered. And it's so awkward when he's just, like, dribbling the ball. He's like, okay, he clearly knows something, like, he obviously knows he turned into a wolf, right? And he's just, like, trying to play it off so well. What? This is normal. I'm playing basketball. Let's go.
Yeah.
And then they do.
Yeah. I had a note that you would think his dad would have maybe explained more about how to be in control of changing somehow or make sure it doesn't happen in public, because my assumption at this point was that people don't know that this family are werewolves.
Right.
So obviously his dad hasn't been like changing in public all the time because even his own son didn't know. And I think I wanted more of that when I was under the impression that this was a werewolf movie and not a movie about a kid getting really good at basketball. But I wanted more of that father and son interaction where he's telling him why this happens or how you control it or what to do about it. And because it really felt to me like Scott is just, he's angry and shocked, and that's fine. But then they never have he doesn't like learn how to control anything or how to be the wolf or whatever.
You mean you want more father-son interaction about a movie about a father-son werewolf?
Shut up. I want them to interact about the werewolf stuff.
Well, right, but the quote from the director, yeah, and this is what you wanted. This is what should happen if that's what his vision was.
Yeah, actually, you're right.
Yeah.
Because, it's not even really about the two of them because the dad's barely in this movie.
Right. And that's the other part where I'm obviously going to side with Scott about the dad not telling him because the dad hoped it would skip him. Why wouldn't you prepare him? And then, oh, you changed in public. Well, he doesn't know anything because you weren't giving him fatherly advice in this father and son comedy.
Right. Yeah, and that's such a huge... like it's a real thing. Such a huge thing to let him just like find out on his own. Like, maybe one day, and I don't know. But again, it's not supposed to be a werewolf movie. It's supposed to be a basketball movie, so whatever. Speaking of the basketball, though, they had to use basically a stunt double for a lot of the basketball scenes because apparently Michael J. Fox was legitimately awful at basketball. They used a sophomore from Loyola Marymount who was on the basketball team there. This poor guy would wear the werewolf makeup for 12 hours and he could only eat he could only eat milkshakes or soup.
What a contrast in textures and temperatures.
And then when it was all said and done, they misspelled his name in the credits when the movie first came out. Yeah. And Michael J. Fox apparently made sure to get it corrected.
Were they like not going to correct it unless the star said something?
Maybe. I don't know.
No one will know.
But this all being said, I could not get over how awful it looks when he is playing, whichever one of them we're talking about, is playing basketball as the wolf because literally you can see his human limbs.
Yeah.
Like underneath the sparse fur because they're moving and the fur is like, flying backward and you can just see the human skin under there.
It didn't look great, but it didn't distract me as much as I think it might have distracted you. I was watching the basketball part, I think. Like, man, this guy's really good at basketball all of a sudden because now he's a werewolf. I didn't know that was a superpower for silver bullets, changing with the full moon, and basketball. That was not on my bingo card. During this scene, though, there's a what the fuck Randy Newman song going on. What is this? So, all right. Other movies we talked about, the song written for the movie, and then it was a video. This did not have that.
Right.
This was, besides one song, these were all written for the movie by, someone they had on their payroll or got college credit for, who knows.
They were bad.
They were all very bad. The only good one was Beach Boys when they were urban surfing.
Right.
Which, that's probably where most of the budget went, right there. I promise you that.
Yeah.
I promise you that. These songs are bad.
They're really bad. Especially the two at the end. Those stuck out to me, but they're really bad.
Saying this is Randy Newman-esque is a huge compliment for this song.
Yeah.
It's like, we're playing basketball, it was, oh God.
Yeah, the lyrics to all of them are very, almost narrating what the viewer needs to be focusing on.
I'm a basketball wolf. I actually don't remember the lyrics. They were so bad.
Yeah, because the song at the end of the movie, when they're winning the game, it's like, I can do it if I try.
Thanks, song.
It was very, after school special, kind of.
Yeah.
So we get into this montage of him being beloved as the wolf because he can win them a basketball game. And there's a scene where he's in the hallway at school and he break dances with another student.
Yeah.
Which is so stupid. And then, and like, you can tell he's getting cocky, he's getting full of himself. And at one point he says, "Thanks, babe, I love you," to the drama teacher.
Yeah, he is now being cast as a random extra, the only extra we see in this play.
The only other person we see.
Are they doing Gone with the Wind, by the way? Is that what they're doing?
That was my assumption. Yes.
Okay. So he's playing a soldier, and he's in this scene, he's the wolf doing it, and like you said, he's full of himself, and the drama coach is trying to direct him, and he just blows him off to say that line. It's like, it was very like Hollywood sounding, which I thought was funny, like generic Hollywood sounding. Basically, Scott is too big for his britches right now, and he's doing whatever he wants. I want to mention he wanted to get in the play earlier in the film. He wanted to give up basketball because A, he's not very good, and B, Pamela is in the play, obviously.
Yeah. So after he delivers his lines horribly, he and Pamela are backstage. Pamela's in her underwear, and then eventually makes a move on Scott, takes her bra off. This movie is PG.
If I'm not mistaken, we only see the back of her, though, right? It's still, a lot is being insinuated, and she is clearly topless, but we don't see frontal nudity, I guess. I don't know if that changes to PG-13.
I mean, apparently it was okay, but this was another bit that they said they would have cut out if they were making this now. Okay. The bowling alley scene, I cannot get over the way that he stands, that Scott stands. I can picture it in my head. All of it's ridiculous. And his hair, his whole wolf getup is so silly. Yeah. But this is when Mick ends up getting in Scott's face. Because Scott is there bowling with Pamela. I just assumed they were on a date.
I assume so, too.
Okay. I'm glad you also thought this.
Well, I assume so, because I think I was told that. I think at one point when Mitch does get in his face, he's like, well, I'm here. He's like, get your hands off my date. And he's like, well, she's my date tonight.
Yeah.
But before that confrontation, Pamela keeps looking over, a couple lanes over, and Mitch is there. Or Mick.
I thought it was Mick, but...
Jessica.
Let's look.
Let's look real quick. God damn it.
Yeah, I'm going.
Fucking... Mitch was the last movie. Son of a bitch. Mick. It is Mick.
Okay.
I've been saying Mitch. Whatever.
Oopsie.
Anyway, the point I was getting at is there's a line that Scott delivers that he asked Pamela, did you come here tonight knowing Mick was here? Because she keeps looking over and she's like kissing Scott and she's clearly making the other guy look like get jealous.
Yeah, that's what I thought she was doing.
Yeah, she totally was doing that. Very obvious when you're kissing someone and then like open your eyes and look over their shoulder and look at the other person.
Yeah, but this is when Mick eventually goes up to Scott because he gets mad enough and says something like that Mick shot Scott's mom because she was in their chicken coop, something like that. And it's a dig at Scott. We assume his mom is passed, but Loeb was worried about putting this line in because he thought people would think that Mick actually did kill Scott's mom, which would also indicate that they all knew they were like this werewolf family or whatever.
Yeah.
His writing partner, Wiseman, said, that's ridiculous. He's a kid. However, this has led to it being kind of an urban legend about the movie that Mick had killed Scott's mom, taking this seriously. There's also a Funny or Die video that parodies Teen Wolf that Loeb mentioned because he thinks it's funny. He likes the parody. And they parody the whole movie, but in 7 or 8 minutes. And it's this group of comedians that kind of insert themselves into Teen Wolf, the movie. But one of the scenes they do is the bowling alley scene. And they're like, oh my God, Mick killed Scott's mom? They're like, yeah, but he's like 35. He just got out of jail. And the part that I laughed so hard at was in the movie when you see Scott get really mad and throw the bowling ball, which obviously is to show us too how strong he is. In the Funny or Die skit, it hits one of their group. It like hits him in the back. So he dramatically falls over. And like, I don't know what it was. It cracked me up so much. And that's when my son came over to be like, what? What's so funny? The next scene when they're at the dance, this is not funny, but the guy is paralyzed. But then the whole rest of the skit, one of the girls has a crush on Scott, and her boyfriend gets so mad because he's like, you want to fuck a wolf? Like, so it just turns into this whole thing about bestiality, which I personally did not find quite as funny. Sort of a good point when you think about it too hard, but they took the idea of Mick killing Scott's mom literally and ran with it, basically.
So many thoughts.
No. See, you should have watched it.
Well, I mean, yes, I have so many thoughts about just the sequence in the movie, though, that I assumed he did not actually kill Scott's mom. However, it is a little jarring because I think they've only mentioned Scott's mom briefly and barely once. I think the dad says, like, oh, your mom learned to deal with it. And we don't know if that meant she was dealing with her husband being a werewolf or she also herself might have been a werewolf. Not clear.
That's a good point, yeah.
Not clear why Scott's mom isn't in the picture. I'm assuming death. Maybe she was eating some chickens and got shot with a shotgun. Who knows?
I very much took this just as Mick talking trash because he's pissed. But at the same time, like you said, him bringing up Scott's mom, then you as a viewer are like, well, wait, where is his mom?
Yeah.
Guess I assumed she passed away.
Yeah, I assume she passed away, and I think that Mick is just digging at him for being a canine.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's on the father's genes, clearly.
Yep. Yeah, I think Mick is pissed, but he's probably like, my girlfriend left me for a wolf.
Well, right, and so that's another weird thing, is in the scene where she is topless, and she's like, oh, where's the wolf at? And like, she's attracted to Scott as Teen Wolf.
Yes.
So that's a thing. I literally have a note, is maybe she just has a wolf kink, because we're not sure if her and Mick Jagger, we're not sure if her and Mick are a couple or not. Again, I'm not sure. So, because Scott walks her home and he asked her out to the dance, and she said, no, I've got a date. It's Mick. Mm-hmm. And he's like, the fuck? And she's like, yeah, well, you know.
He already asked me.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that was surprising to me too, because I assumed she had left Mick for Scott because Scott was popular now.
Mm-hmm.
And that is obviously why she is attracted to the wolf and not Scott, because the wolf is what makes him popular.
Right.
But like, yeah, then when he walks her home and she's like, oh, I'm still going to the dance with the other guy because he asked. And she does not seem like the type of person that was going to honor that kind of thing. So
yeah.
Because she obviously already ditched him.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, all of this was confusing.
With the popularity of the school, he becomes a little bit of a ball hog on the court.
Yep.
The wolf, obviously. And this team is kind of getting over it. They're happy they're winning. They're going towards the championship. But no one's seeing the ball. No one's seeing the action. Mm-hmm. They're all mad at him. And Scott picks up on that and he asks some advice from the hard-boiled egg-eating coach.
Yeah.
And he's about to give him some advice. And I'm like, okay, this is going to be great. And it was. It was just not the greatness that I expected it to be.
Yeah.
I had to copy and paste the script because I wanted to read this because it's ridiculous.
Yep.
All right, so he asked him, like, what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And obviously I think the coach knows that the team is against Scott, but much like the rest of the school, they just want a championship.
Yes.
Because it's a basketball movie.
It's a sports movie. It's not a werewolf movie.
Right. There are 3 rules that I live by. Never get less than 12 hours of sleep. Never play cards with a guy who has the same first name as a city, which I thought was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And never go near a lady who's got a tattoo of a dagger on her body. Now, you stick with that, everything else is cream cheese.
Yeah, I thought this was really good. And the setup was good, too, because you really... Or at least Scott really thought he was going to give him some advice on how to
I did
handle the
too.
rest of the team. Yeah.
I don't know why I thought that, because this coach has not done anything helpful.
Right.
So, got me for some reason. I don't know. It just seemed like this is where the movie's going to pivot, and he's going to, like, have to realize that the wolf is in him and he is still Scott. He doesn't need the wolf, but that comes with the dad.
Mm-hmm.
Here's where the director comes into play here, right?
Yeah.
Dad gives him this really long story about when he was younger and he lost his anger and became the wolf. The guy in question he got angry with turns out to be, bum bum bum, big reveal, the vice principal,
Mm-hmm.
who also loved Scott's mom.
Yes.
So they got into an altercation, the wolf came out, and it made the vice principal soil himself.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
And his dad gives a line something like, I don't know who was more afraid then when I was the wolf, him or me. Because I guess the implication is he was afraid to lose his anger and actually hurt somebody, is what I kind of took it as.
Yeah. But now we know why the vice principal hates Scott so much.
Which is some bullshit. What was distracting during this whole monologue and explanation about the vice principal is Scott's dad is wearing this pea-colored button-up shirt.
Pickle.
Oh yeah, it is yellow and gross looking. He's sitting in front of a wall that is almost the same color, and the camera kind of moves a little bit to get Michael J. Fox in shot, and behind them is their kitchen, and all their appliances are very 1975 style and color, with it's like a burnt yellow, and I was like, there's too much yellow in this scene. I don't know what we're trying to say with the color yellow here, but it was gross, and I didn't like the dad matched everything in the house. It was very distracting to me.
Yeah, I did not pick up on this. I'll have to go back and look at this.
Oh god.
We get to the dance. Boof had asked Scott to the dance, but then he refused to go as himself. He was going to go as the wolf. So she was like, well, never mind. But they still agree to, dance together. It looks like they're all doing the Thriller dance.
Yeah, they're doing some sort of wolf-like dance, but
Okay.
they're doing like this weird like wiggle, and then they do the pose, like a wolf
Yeah,
pose,
with
and
the, with the hands up. Mhm.
yeah, that part looks like Thriller, but everything leading up to that looks like a bunch of old people.
I thought this dance was just overall so anticlimactic, though. We do have Mick punching Scott at some point. He just, I don't know, he's glaring at him angrily and eventually goes over and punches him.
Well, I want to point out that when they come in as the wolf, Mick is there, and you just called him Mitch. God damn it.
Oh, whoops.
Whatever.
Jessica.
Yeah. Turbo.
See, I was so excited that I wouldn't mess up Boof that now I'm messing up this guy.
How could you mess up Boof? Is Boof short for something? Is her real name like Boofany?
Whose name is Boofany?
I don't know.
You're so dumb sometimes.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Hold on. She had a full name. I'll look it up.
Did she really? I just thought it was going to be credited as Boof. There's no way there's a
She
real name.
probably is credited as Boof, but Lisa Boof Marconi.
But Boof is in like quotes because it's her nickname. So we don't know why it's Boof.
No, but apparently one of the writers, his real life childhood friend, this was her like full name.
Okay.
So someone's name was Boof in real life, which makes it worse, I think, for that lady.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So the wolf walks into the dance, and everyone's staring at him. He's popular. He's doing the dance with Boof, a.k.a. Boofany. And they step aside, and they go in the hallway, and she kisses him, and he's Scott again, and she convinces him to stay as Scott. I like you as this better.
Yeah.
It's starting to be clear to Scott that there might be some chemistry between these two characters. So he's Scott now. That's when Mick comes over and punches him when he's not a fucking werewolf. He also just sucker punched him. Even if he was a werewolf, he probably would have hit him pretty hard. He just spins him around and punches him while he's dancing with his friends.
Mm-hmm.
What a puss. Like, come on, man. You've been eyeballing this guy for 90 minutes, and this is how you take him out?
Yeah.
Got a foot on this dude.
That's true,
So
yeah.
lame.
But why does his dad suddenly show up?
Plot.
Because when they're out in the hall, I feel like this whole scene is like they're in the dance, they're in the hall, they're in the dance, they're in the hall, and then his dad shows up and growls at the vice principal.
Yeah, so after the sucker punch, Scott is now Wolf. The Wolf grabs Mick and like rips his shirt off, and people are laughing at him. And then Mick gets angry, and people hold him back. And there's like some sort of thudding heartbeat sound effect. You can tell the Wolf is trying to be calm. He sees some people are laughing at Mick, some people are scared of him because he is very angry and intense looking.
Right.
And we're supposed to believe, I think, that he's harping back on that story that the dad just told him about losing his cool. And so the Wolf walks out, gets confronted by the principal. He's like, I'm going to get rid of you for good. You'll never play in this town again. And then out of the corner, out of the shadow, lurks Mr. Howard. And he's just like, leave my son alone. Son, go home. This is between me and you. And then he just like backs him into a locker and growls at him. And then we're supposed to assume that the principal peed himself again.
But his dad isn't a wolf in this scene, right?
He just growls, yeah.
Yeah.
But he's scared. Also, the dad's not intimidating at all, even when he's a wolf.
No. No, especially not then.
I think he's more intimidating when he's regular Howard. Harold.
Probably, yeah. Harold Howard.
Yeah. I've been saying it like last name, first name. Like, imagine the commas in there, okay?
Yeah, I get it. Okay, so this brings us to the big championship basketball game where I learned that Mick is on the other team.
He's on the red team, yep.
He does not go to their school, apparently. The big deal here is that Scott enters as Scott, not the wolf, decides they can win the game just by being themselves.
Mm-hmm. It's a nice message. Very unbelievable because we see them in the beginning, horrible.
They were horrible, yeah.
The only time they've been good is when the wolf has been around and he's a ball hog.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, they know how to run plays and are good at basketball.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
It's fine. Everything's fine.
Yep. Some super cheesy songs. It ends because Scott is finally able to take those shots that he was struggling with at the beginning.
Mm-hmm, the foul line shots, yeah. It is funny, though, because Mick, who is still very angry, he plays very physical basketball, and he picks on the much smaller Scott. And Scott takes it on the chin, figuratively and quite literally. He gets, like, clotheslined at one point. And every time he gets up, he's smirking, which, of course, makes Mick more mad. He's like, what's so fucking funny? And he's like, that's 4, bro. One more, and you're out the game. And he's like, oh, shit, now I can't. This is the only thing it seems like Mick's not even good at basketball. He's only really good at being big.
Yeah.
And so then after that last foul is what brings him up to the line. And, of course, they're down by 2. He makes them both. And there you go.
Yep. And everyone runs out of the stands celebrating, and he finally kisses Boof. I think his dad's there, too.
Yeah. He
Yep.
jumps on his dad. His big, strong wolf dad.
Care Bear Wolf Dad. So, I had kind of forgotten about this. There's this infamous urban legend that there is a flasher in the extras. Do you remember hearing about this?
That sounds vaguely familiar.
So,
I don't think I've ever seen it, though.
It's immediately after he kisses Boof, I believe, because I went back and I found it. However, VH1 was the first to point this out. There was some VH1 special. I cannot remember if it was, a special about the 80s, a special about whatever. I feel like I learned so much from VH1 growing up because I remember watching, like, whatever this was and learning about the Flasher and Teen Wolf.
Okay.
But apparently they really were the first ones to start this whole thing. You do see an extra who has their fly down. You see, like, maybe from the belly down. You can see they're wearing jeans. Their fly is open. They're claiming that it's someone flashing, a guy flashing his dick at the camera. However, this YouTuber tracked down the real extra. It's a woman named Chris Haggerty. She explained it as the girls all wore really tight pants to the point where you had to lay down to get them zipped up. And between takes, she saw all the other girls basically undoing their pants because they were so tight to sit in for that long. And basically, when they were ready to film again, she had forgotten to zip her fly back up. And she realized it when she had jumped up. And that's why you see her in the take trying to like pull her sweater down over her fly to try to hide it. And someone found the original footage where you see her whole body, including her face. And it is her, it is a woman. So apparently there is not actually a flasher in Teen Wolf. It's just this poor woman that forgot to zip up her fly. Yeah, it was a pretty like silly little explanation. And but like I said, I remember watching whatever this show was in VH1 and them, you know, freeze framing it and putting the circle around it to show you where the flasher was. So yeah.
I'll have to go back.
I'm pretty sure it's immediately, she's in a red sweater. I'm pretty sure it's immediately after they kiss. And you can see her like coming off the bleachers. Most people are already off the bleachers.
Okay.
But yeah, that's about it. There's a freeze frame ending. Super cheesy.
So it's like kind of a freeze frame, right? Like it freeze frames.
Oh,
ends.
yeah. And then it starts like slow-moing.
Yeah, that's even worse.
Which is worse. You're right.
Like,
you're right.
Could have kept the freeze frame, faded to black, let the credits roll, but they kept the freeze frame, and as the credits rolling, like, I mean, they filmed the whole celebration, and it's just like bit by bit, they're moving. It looks like a melting oil painting. I don't know how else to describe this.
It does look really bad. Anything else you want to say before I get to the rest of it?
I don't remember most of this movie.
I didn't either. Apparently, I just remembered Wolf playing basketball.
I remember Wolf playing basketball. What we didn't talk about when the Wolf is urban surfing and he's doing flips and handstand. I remember that.
Yeah.
Like shot for shot almost. It also was in the trailer.
The trailer tells you the whole movie.
Yeah, except for what happens to their mom. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's not in the movie either. So.
Nobody knows.
No one knows.
But yeah, I was surprised how much I didn't remember of this movie. I probably watched it once, and the rest I saw on TV. It was probably like channel surfing, and Teen Wolf's on, and you get to the channel like, oh, it's the basketball scene. I know this scene. Let's watch 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all I got.
So Teen Wolf's budget was about $4 million. It grossed $80 million worldwide.
That's the power of Fox. The actor.
Yep. In at least one interview, Loeb said he thought it was made for $1 million. So just in case one of these.
How do you not know? You were an executive producer / scriptwriter / gaffer. How do you not know what was made?
I'm pretty sure this was like a retrospective, like 30 years or something afterward.
Okay.
But the release date was pushed back by the studio so they could take advantage of Back to the Future being so popular. It was originally supposed to be released earlier in the summer. They just felt like Back to the Future was going to be a hit. They wanted to ride its coattails. And it did open in the number 2 spot behind Back to the Future. However, Back to the Future was in its 8th week of release and was still number 1. And I made note of the tagline, Michael J. Fox is back from the future in a new comedy, which I think is what you had pointed out in the beginning.
That's, wow. What I'm confused about is that they pushed it back because they thought Back to the Future was going to be a hit. Mm-hmm. If you remember that episode, they went to 40 studios and no one thought it was going to be a hit. How did these little guys go, you know what? I don't know. It's very, like, the timeline's fucking with me.
I assume it's because it was Steven Spielberg had his name on Back to the Future.
True.
It was a big studio movie, and they knew Michael J. Fox was already gaining in popularity because of Family Ties.
Okay.
So I think they gambled a bit. I don't think they knew it was going to be the hit that it was, but they knew it was going to be popular.
I mean, that was a good gamble. It worked. 80 million on a $1 million budget. Or four.
Or
we don't
four.
know. Yeah.
Yep. Speaking of them riding Back to the Future's coattails, in Italy, the character of Scott was renamed Marty, like Marty McFly, Back to the Future. In Brazil, instead of being called Teen Wolf, it was translated to English, The Boy of the Future, which makes no sense. Reviews were mixed, but pretty much skewed negative. Lots of comparisons to Michael J. Fox being better utilized in Back to the Future. Not so much that he was better in Back to the Future, but he had more to do. He could showcase his acting more. And I definitely agree with that if we're going to compare the two. I did kind of end up feeling at the end of Teen Wolf like I was kind of bored. And I was surprised that I was kind of bored.
Yeah.
Maybe it's more fun when you're a little kid.
Yeah, 100%. It has to be.
Yeah. A film critic named Colin Greenland reviewed Teen Wolf for White Dwarf, which is a British film magazine. He said, anxious that their movie would be perfectly wholesome, clean, and bloodless, writers and director forgot Scott was supposed to be a werewolf and made him a basketball star instead. I understand this feeling because I had it too, but however, this was apparently the point the entire time, so...
Yeah.
We all just wanted a different movie, I guess.
So going into this rewatch, remembering only the parts from the trailer, I know he's going to be a basketball star. You know he's going to be the cool kid on campus, and he wasn't before.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I remember there wasn't a lot to focus on the more violent aspect of being a werewolf. It's not a horror movie, so that's fine also. I forgot how little there is werewolf besides him just being a wolf. Like, exactly. I'm walking around. Yes. I'm cool. I'm wearing John Travolta's suit when I go to my dance. Like,
yeah. It's literally, he's just hairy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have what I thought was this nice little story, though, about the movie premiering. Loeb said, you have to remember it was a very, very little movie at a very, very little studio that could barely get any screens at all. The luck of the movie was that when it looked like Back to the Future was going to be this monster hit, they moved us behind it. Me, Matthew, and Rod, which is his co-writer and the director, went to a theater on opening night, the 5 o'clock show, and there were 4 people in the theater. We thought, okay, this is the greatest disaster ever. We went out to dinner, and it was this terrible dinner. No one talked. We had worked so hard on this little movie, and so we decided to go see the 7:30 p.m. showing at Westwood, which was a college town. When we got there, they told us that the movie was sold out. So I said, we wrote the movie. Can we sneak in and watch? So they let us stand in the back, and for the first 10 or 15 minutes of the movie, it was kind of quiet. Then when Michael opened the door and sees his father as the werewolf, the place erupted. And from that point on, people were laughing and applauding and popcorn was flying in the air. And suddenly it was this completely different experience. And it ended up as this wonderful evening.
That's kind of nice for them.
Yeah. Loeb has said, though, that even though it was this big hit, right, $80 million worldwide, the studio claimed it didn't turn a profit. So they use this as a reason why they should not have to pay the writing team much to do a sequel. Loeb has said in quite a few interviews that they didn't really get a big payout if the movie was a hit. It was pretty much all the studio, which I understand there are deals where you just get paid a salary and that's it. You can make other deals where you do get a percent based on profits, but they were so new, they probably wouldn't have even thought to ask that or even be offered that because they hadn't proven themselves at this point, I guess.
I would assume they weren't offered that. They're like, hey, we're going to give you a chance to make your script, so take it or leave it, which, you know, of course you take it. And
right.
I'm just confused about they didn't make a profit. Sir, I mean, I'm not the best at math, but
Yeah. No, this place seemed a little shady. The last quote I have from him: "The fact of the matter is, the company that made the movie went bankrupt and the rights to the film were picked up by MGM. And because in these situations you can make huge library deals, what it meant was that you could play Teen Wolf on TV all the time without huge costs. Another reason why I'm not living in a house that Teen Wolf paid for." Yep.
So I'm just going to assume the studio, which is bad at money, like $8 million. What can you do with it? Go bankrupt. Oh, okay.
Right. Literally got everything they wanted and they still went bankrupt, so.
So MGM bought the rights, and that's why we as kids watched it on TNT.
I guess, yeah.
Well, with those rights, eventually came a whole franchise that I either didn't know about or blocked from memory. I can't remember which one.
Okay.
There was an animated series, aired on CBS for 2 seasons in 86 and 87. So pretty close after, right?
Yeah.
85. One of the main actors who played Scott, actually, Townsend Coleman. I didn't recognize his name at all, but wanted to know what else he did. He was Michelangelo in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon, and also he played the Tick. That's interesting. I watched a lot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles as a kid. Some fun facts that I just wanted to put out because it's a little Cleveland shout out here. He apparently was a DJ for WGCL in Cleveland in the late 70s.
Okay.
Who knew?
Yeah.
Not Joe. Joe did not know this. Apparently, he appeared in several plays through Jerry Leonard Heights Youth Theater Ensemble. That is a mouthful. Which was just down the street from John Carroll University.
Okay. Well, nice. I like a Cleveland connection.
Right. If you were curious, the plot is very similar. Scott Howard and his family now live in the new fictional town of Wolverton, and it's constantly drawing tourists because of the history of werewolf sightings. I'm assuming it's the Howard family that they keep saying.
Yeah.
Teen Wolf 2, as in Teen Wolf Also, T-O-O.
Yep.
Directed by Christopher Leitch. Am I saying that right?
Leech?
Leitch?
I don't know.
Christopher Leitch.
You know, I don't know. Yep.
The name looked familiar. Apparently he also wrote Universal Soldier.
Okay.
And starring Jason Bateman in his first feature film.
I totally forgot about Jason Bateman being in the sequel.
I totally forgot about a sequel.
Oh, no. See, I remembered the sequel. I just forgot it was Jason Bateman.
Have you seen it? I have not.
I know I had when I was younger, but like I don't remember a lot of it at all.
Very clever. Teen Wolf T-O-O. Because Jason Bateman plays Scott's cousin. So he is also a teen wolf. And I think that's clever. However, when I do my plot breeze through, it's pretty much, I find ironic it's called this because it's just Teen Wolf.
Okay.
It's just Teen Wolf again. It's what I would call it.
Teen Wolf again. That's great.
Slight background, James Hampton and Mark Holton are the only actors to return.
So Mark Holton is Chubbs, a.k.a. Stillwell, a.k.a. Francis.
Yep. And James Hampton is Howard Harold. The dad.
Okay.
And principal photography began in 87.
Okay.
So still pretty, quick turnaround.
Pretty close together, yeah.
Okay. So, as I mentioned, Todd is the cousin of Scott, and he was recently accepted to university on a full athletic scholarship by recommendation of Coach Finstock, who was also Scott's basketball coach at high school. What's weird here is that Finstock, the coach, he is hoping that Todd has his family genes to become a werewolf and turn his new struggling boxing team into championship contenders.
Okay, I was literally about to ask why Scott's basketball coach was recommending the cousin who I assumed went elsewhere, but okay.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just like, hey, you're related? Maybe you're a Teen Wolf too. Dun, dun, dun. I mean, it has to be it, right?
Yeah.
What makes it funnier is that he's more interested in being a veterinarian. Todd
Okay.
is certain that the coach has the wrong guy because he's not good at sports.
Yeah.
So I don't know a lot about boxing, but I know if I'm not good at sports, I'm not going to be convinced, full athletic scholarship or not, to be a boxer.
Yeah.
Like, I'm more likely to play college basketball than boxing.
It's almost like that college admissions scandal. Like they're pretending this guy's an athlete, and he's like, "I just want to be a vet."
Yeah. Anyway, that's the. It would make more sense if he was a boxer or whatever the sport would be in the movie and was
Yeah.
bad, and then became good.
Yeah.
But anyway, at a meet and greet at the reception, he wolfed out while dancing with a seductive hostess.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So, of course, Todd is horrified that he has this family affliction, in quotes. Other students start to bully him, harass him because he's a little furry man. Still goes out for boxing, and during one of his matches, he nearly gets the shit kicked out of him, and that's when the second wolf out happens. So much like Scott in the basketball scene where everyone's like piling on the floor to get the loose ball.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, he has now supernatural agility and strength, and he has a comeback from behind victory. So this
Okay.
Teen Wolf is good at boxing.
Okay. That's a movie about a nephew and his uncle, apparently, because the dad is back in
Oh, the
this
dad
one.
is back, yeah. Of course, very much like Scott, he has newfound fame. He's getting
Okay.
good grades, probably not earned. He's getting a free car from the dean.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's big man on campus, so to speak. With that, great power comes great responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Uncle Harold said this. He's starting to lose grip with his friends and self-respect. This is where he gets advice from his uncle, and he comes to terms with being the wolf, and he learns about his responsibilities about being a wolf, and also helps him prepare for his championship bout, because I guess his uncle's good at boxing. I saw him play basketball with Boof. He wasn't good at that.
I'm so lost right now.
You and me both, and I'm reading the damn thing. Very much like Scott. I'm going to just keep saying that to prove my point. This is Teen Wolf also. Todd decides to fight in the championship match against his opponent as himself, not as the wolf. And much of the people are like, no, 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 we want this title, except for his uncle. Obviously talked him into doing it, his girlfriend, and some other professor who also is apparently a werewolf.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So little Jason Bateman is getting beat up round after round, almost getting knocked out a couple times. He gets very tempted to become the wolf. And then he looks over, and his lady friend mouths the word, "I love you." And that gives him the strength to overcome and knock out his opponent to a roaring ovation.
Okay.
So, yeah. I don't know if you'd be surprised, but Teen Wolf 2 received near universally negative reviews from critics.
Shocker.
It holds 8% rating on Rotten Tomatoes. The general consensus from the critics on that site, it reads, quote, aiming for the low bar set by its predecessor and never coming close to clearing it. Teen Wolf 2 is an unfunny sequel whose bark is just as awful as its bite.
Damn.
Damn, yeah.
Yeah.
Oof. And
Yeah.
then Metacritic gives it 8 out of 100.
It's great.
Indicating, quote, overwhelming dislike.
Overwhelming dislike. What's a nice way to put this?
Oh, man. On their show, Siskel and Ebert give the film 2 empathetic thumbs down. With Roger Ebert complaining that they had picked, along with Date with an Angel, the 2 worst possible films to release on the same day. I don't know this other one, but I kind of want to research Date with an Angel just to see how bad that one could possibly be.
Yeah, that does not sound familiar at all.
Jeff Loeb, he said, the best thing I can say about Teen Wolf 2 is that it's the only time anyone ever referred to me as Preston Sturges. Leonard Maltin wrote that Teen Wolf 2 made Teen Wolf look like Preston Sturges. I've always prided myself on that.
Yeah. If anyone is not familiar, Preston Sturges was a really popular screenwriter in the 40s, 30s, 40s.
Yeah, I was going to say 40s, 50s, but I'm probably off.
Let me look. It's going to bug me now.
Would you be surprised to know a second sequel starring Alyssa Milano was planned, but ended up not being filmed?
I would be surprised about that.
Okay. Then they were going to do another female version of Teen Wolf. That was in the works until about 1989, and that became Teen Witch instead.
Huh.
So they pivoted.
Interesting.
And if you're familiar, MTV had a Teen Wolf TV show, a teen drama, supernatural teen drama, developed by Jeff Davis, and as I said, for MTV. It premiered in 2011 and concluded in 2017 after 6 seasons, and it had mostly positive reviews.
I watched this a little bit.
Did you? How was it?
Yep. So I only watched the first 2 seasons, maybe. It was definitely darker, a lot more werewolf stuff.
Nice.
He's supposed to be keeping it secret that his family is a bunch of werewolves. This was not your wheelhouse, but it was when the same time that Vampire Diaries was popular, Pretty Little Liars, so kind of like darker young adult stuff,
Sure.
if that makes sense. Usually a supernatural element, but I remember, at least in the first season, one of the big storylines was that Scott falls for this girl, Allison, and then it turns out her family are werewolf hunters.
Yeah, I kind of read into it, and that's one of the big things.
Yes. From what I remember, Scott and Stiles are the only ones who have the same character names. Mm-hmm. And the guy who plays Stiles went on to have a pretty good career. Dylan O'Brien, I think is his name.
Okay.
He is the Jake Gyllenhaal character in the All Too Well 10-minute music video for any Taylor Swift fans out there.
But essentially is Teen Wolf from 85, but like you said, a teen dark drama. But apparently what I'm reading is Scott is not, it's not like a family affliction. It is, he's bitten by a wolf. An alpha wolf is what it's called. I don't know why he has to be an alpha wolf. And obviously he has to balance being Scott and being a werewolf. I think the through line through most of the seasons is he has to help protect his hometown, which becomes a beacon for supernatural activity. I did read that his love interest, at least the first couple seasons, was from a family of werewolf hunters. Mm-hmm. He befriends another werewolf who is a beta werewolf, so I guess they're making Scott be like the alpha male. There's a Japanese werewolf, and there is a were-coyote or something like that. Basically, he has like a whole team that helps protect this town from other supernatural problems, one of them being someone else's love interest who is a banshee.
All right. A lot of that must have happened when I stopped watching, because...
Yeah, so, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, mostly positive reviews. Then, because of that, they did Teen Wolf the movie. So this is the show as a movie, not a sequel to the Michael J. Fox movie. Mm-hmm. That came out actually pretty recently, 2023. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of the continuation of the MTV series, as I said. It includes a cast from, most of them returned from the show. It was released on Paramount Plus. Mixed reviews from critics.
Okay.
I read briefly about it. What I did find that was kind of cool, it takes place 15 years later, which if you do the math from season 6 conclusion to the movie, we're about there. And Scott has a 15-year-old kid. I'm assuming the kid also has some sort of wolf thing going on in his life. I stopped reading, if I'm being honest with you.
Yeah, well, it's hard to cover multiple seasons of a TV show in order to understand what the movie is about. It's funny because when I was trying to do research for this episode, every time I'd look up Teen Wolf movie on either IMDb or Wikipedia or whatever, it would be this movie from 2023, which obviously is not the one I wanted. But I wonder if this whole series was more popular than I realized because, I mean, number one, it was on MTV. I don't know how popular any of their original shows were at this time. I feel like MTV had kind of like lost its luster a while ago. But yeah, it just seems like, if nothing else, it must have a pretty strong cult following because I kept bringing up stuff about this accidentally.
Yeah, when I was doing some searching, it was the show would pop up first, and then I would type in movie, and then the 2023 movie would show up first, and I'd have to type 1985 to get the Michael J. Fox one. But then in the drop down, Teen Wolf 2 would be ahead of it.
Huh.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, no, I don't want to talk about this yet. I want to look about Teen Wolf, not Teen Wolf also.
Teen Wolf also. Well, did Teen Wolf 1985 with Michael J. Fox hold up for you?
No.
No.
I barely remember seeing it, so the nostalgia factor, she gone. Michael J. Fox holds up. Michael J. Fox doing, well, probably a stunt double, doing flips on the van or playing basketball. That holds up. I was surprised with Styles. He made me laugh a lot more. I don't remember him, so...
Right. Yeah, honestly, when I think of Styles, I picture the character from the TV show because that guy... That was probably the one actor to break out the biggest from the TV show.
Okay.
Actually, when I looked him up, he's in the new Wes Craven movie with Rachel McAdams, Send Help.
Okay.
They're the two leads in it.
Oh, okay.
I forgot about Styles from the original movie, but yeah, I agree with you. I think I enjoy Michael J. Fox still. I think if they had gotten a different actor, it might not be looked back on as fondly.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, and like you said, I don't remember a lot of it from when I was a kid, but I just was surprised at how bored I was watching it.
Yeah. I know this would be a completely different movie, but what if, in a different universe, where Michael J. Fox replaced Eric Stoltz in Back to the Future, Stoltz then replaced J. Fox and did this movie and brought a more serious method actor, like, I'm only Wolf on set.
Yeah.
Then it might be a horror movie or a horror teen comedy or something. I don't know. More werewolf in it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. Well, yeah, and apparently part of the reason I was disappointed with it, too, is my own fault for expecting a werewolf movie.
Yeah.
It's a basketball movie.
Which I remember that part, but in my head I was thinking there would be a part in like the second act where he's, I know it's not a horror movie, so he's not going around eating people and scaring them all, but just dealing with being a werewolf more than just like being triggered at school because they're talking about a wolf or some other, I forget what they're, all these stretches they were making to like trigger him.
They had one class where they were talking about the legend of how Rome was founded by the two boys who were raised by wolves, and I was like, I was like, oh, I see what you're doing here.
Yeah.
All right, anything else you want to add before I wrap it up?
Yes, if I added anything, we mentioned it a little bit earlier, just looking back at his career, I'm so surprised. Again, I get Family Ties, which, question, did you ever watch Family Ties?
I know I did, but I don't remember it really because I was really little when it was still on.
I think I watched it in syndication on like a sick day when I'm home from school.
I remember watching reruns.
But because of Michael J. Fox. And I just remember it being literally darker. Like it looked like a soap opera, which I didn't like the style of it. Again, this is from what I remember. I've never rewatched it. And I don't know why I want to compare it to Growing Pains, which I think was also popular at the time. But I remember liking that more than the other one because it was funnier.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then a quick scrolling on IMDb, I don't know any of the other things he did after part 3 until like the movie Greedy and The Frighteners and then Spin City. But yet he was just so big.
He was, and I'm not familiar with Greedy. I remember the titles of some of his movies. I remember Doc Hollywood.
Yeah, I saw that on there. I think I might have even seen it, but it's not.
I don't think I saw it till like later, and I think I only watched it because it was Michael J. Fox.
Right.
And I remember when The Frighteners came out, but I think I mostly watched this, Back to the Future, and then Spin City. Mm-hmm. Because I remember Spin City a lot more than Family Ties. So.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I actually watched, like, I didn't just see it here and there. I watched Spin City.
Yeah,
I
same.
guess I know he's not a cool character. I just wish some of that swagger, even if it's accidental or not, was in Teen Wolf. And yes, I know he's supposed to be opposite. Teen Wolf is confident. Scott is not. It just the quote about them not utilizing Michael J. Fox as well as Back to the Future. I feel it comes
Yeah,
to choices like that.
yeah, absolutely.
Because
Like even when he's supposed to be cool wolf, he doesn't even have that much to do, it seems.
yeah,
Yeah, you could have done so much more with the concept. I get it. And you also could have done so much more with Michael J. Fox because, as we said, he was really charismatic and charming and so much fun to watch in Back to the Future. And then again, I still enjoyed watching him in this, but it was like I was surprised at how bored I was.
yeah.
Yeah.
Styles was the one that kept me in it when he was around.
Right. Yes, exactly. Well, we would love to hear your thoughts on Teen Wolf, as well as your own favorite films from 1985. You can find us on Instagram at Back Through the Lens Pod and on Facebook at Back Through the Lens. You can also email us at backthroughthelenspodcast@gmail.com. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, please leave us a rating and review. It's the best way to support our show.
If you enjoyed our show today, please give us a like and follow for updates on new and future episodes. Our show is produced by our hosts, Rachel Campbell, and myself, Joe Siomick, with additional help and support from Peter Telep of LPV Productions. Peter, Rachel, and I are also the executive producers. Our awesome logo is brought to you by Tom Faraci, and our wonderful theme song is by Matt Terry. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more trips into our movie watching past on Back Through the Lens. Fucking boof. Who was Scott's basketball teacher in Beacontown High.
Say basketball coach.
Basketball coach.
You said you said basketball teacher.
Did I really? I might leave that in. Fuck it.